At the time of writing and recording, Star Wars The Acolyte is releasing weekly on Disney+, and I actually think this is a step up from other Star Wars shows. I've gone back on Kenobi and Mando Season 3. While they have their moments, they are overall kind of lackluster. And y'all know I don't like the Book of Boba Fett. Only 2 Star Wars shows since Mando Season 2 I dare to call consistently good is Andor and Ahsoka, and I can't wait to see where they go. Going back to The Acolyte, by all metrics, it's an okay show with a few issues. Mainly the clunky dialogue, the order of operations of it all, a choice a character made in Episode 4 that felt really abrupt, and Episode 7 was kind of whack. And unfortunately, the main actress is not that good at playing twins. She's good as Osha, but not as good as May. But overall, it has a great thriller tone to it. It's actually one of the best looking Star Wars shows on Disney+, and it's great to see more of the High Republic era on motion picture. But here we arrive at this video's subject, the hate it's been getting. Now I'm not going to pretend there aren't valid reasons to dislike the show, but almost everything me and my friends in the Star Wars sphere have seen is not very fair. I mean, look at this audience score. Rotten Tomatoes scores, or any review site scores, are not a valid form of criticism, and not a reason to watch or not watch a show. That's called the appeal to popularity fallacy. If we took sites like Rotten Tomatoes seriously, then The Flash is an absolute masterpiece, and we all know that it's not. And B, it's obviously review bombed, and let me explain why this is. Obviously not everyone who dislikes new Star Wars is a homophobe and a racist, but going through all the negative reviews, I'm starting to see a pattern here. They're either attacking the show for being woke, or they're attacking the showrunner, Leslie Headland. I haven't really discussed any political discourse on this channel because it raises my blood pressure to unhealthy levels, but I think it's important that we do that right now. We unfortunately live in an age of right-wing dominance online, where channels such as Geeks and Gamers, Ryan Kennel, Critical Drinker, Star Wars Theory, and others are all in the sphere known as the Fandom Menace. They are a group of content creators who review any media from Star Wars to Marvel to any pop culture franchise. But if you go through their videos, the only arguments they make as to why something is bad is that it's woke. And if you see what it is they are reviewing, you are gonna see some patterns. The Obi-Wan Kenobi series is directed by a Canadian Asian with a black woman in a prominent role. Woke garbage. The Marvel stars 3 women, one of them a Muslim and one of them is black. Woke garbage. Across the Spider-Verse, having a scene where Spider-Woman has a Protect Trans Kids flag in her room and starring a black person as Spider-Man. Woke garbage. Barbie being a feminist movie? You best believe it's woke garbage by these lunatics metric. Are you seeing a pattern?
I mean, 4 female Ghostbusters? The feminists are taking over. I'm an adult virgin.
And they always have this phrase they repeat in their videos. Go woke, go broke. Trying to instill the idea that anything that doesn't star a straight white man is bad and won't make money. But here's the twist. All of what I just said made bank. Excluding the Marvels, which was for different reasons, Spider-Verse, Barbie, Kenobi were all huge financial hits, being big critical hits as well. They can review bomb all they want, and quote-unquote woke media will still be successful, when there is clear evidence that it is review bombed. And to explain why, I'm going to use a clip from my buddy Turf Nation's video on this same topic.
And one of the main arguments against The Acolyte is its Rotten Tomatoes score, which has a critic score of 83 and an audience score of 14. And this would be a great argument if Rotten Tomatoes meant anything. The thing is, scores on Rotten Tomatoes are worthless when trying to gauge the quality of a show, especially when there's a whole lot of online discourse surrounding it. Review bombing absolutely happens, especially when a group of people online have reason to go and mass downvote something. Naturally, when massive anti-woke outrage channels like Rharib, The Critical Drinker, and all the rest are making videos before and during the show's premiere, saying that it will be woke, that Disney is ruining Star Wars, and that The Acolyte is shitting on real fans of Star Wars, it's no fucking mystery why their fanbase is going in hordes to downvote the show. It also doesn't help that these channels glorify and celebrate shows with bad scores, posting every week how the audience score is still horrible. This makes their fans want to keep making the score lower and lower to own woke Disney. They see it as a win for themselves if The Acolyte has a low score, and so naturally they'll want to keep it that way. Only thing is that the audience score then becomes fucking meaningless. A fan of Star Wars who's interested in The Acolyte will be able to learn nothing from this, other other than a lot of whiny people online are triggered by the show. Naturally, there are plenty of people who do not like The Acolyte. I'm not insinuating that it's only toxic fans who dislike it. Not at all. But review bombing doesn't only cover up the positive opinions of fans, it also covers up the genuine negative opinions. When people go to downvote a show because their messiahs told them to, it's actively hurting the genuine discussions that many fans want to be having about these shows, whether positive or negative. If you only look at Rotten Tomatoes, you'd assume that this is the most hated show of all time, but trust me, there are plenty of people who like or even love this show. They just don't feel the need to squeal about it online. And you may be wondering that, well, if the show is actually very popular, then why are these people who like it not reversing the review bombing? And that's simple. They don't care. A score on Rotten Tomatoes doesn't mean anything. It only means something to people with fragile egos who need affirmation that their opinions are correct because they're too fucking lonely. Also, hatred is a way more common cause for leaving a negative review than love is for leaving a positive review. Think of going to a restaurant. How many times have you left a review if the food and service met or even exceeded your expectations, compared to when the food and service was dog awful?
Raj! Come here, you. It's raw. It's fucking raw.
For most people, they're way more likely to leave reviews when something had been awful than if something had been amazing. It's the same thing with TV shows. Most people who like The Acolyte don't feel the need to leave a positive review and show everyone that this show is actually really good. But when this show's audience score is so linked with their culture war, and you feeling good about yourself or not relies on this show being bad, then you're way more likely to leave that negative rating.
I can say with pride that I have never owned a Rotten Tomatoes account, and it ain't gonna start now.
Yeah, I don't trust reviews. I gotta form my own opinion, and I'm sure everyone will vouch for me because reviewers don't know anything.
And the same thing is happening with The Acolyte. It stars 2 black women, a Korean man, and the director is the first openly queer person to direct a Star Wars show. And it's given the woke treatment. Not all, but most of the negative reviews online are saying that about the show. Do you get it now? Don't listen to these schmucks. Formulate your own opinion. So woke has become a buzzword for anything conservatives don't like.
DeSantis says woke so often it begins to lose all meaning. But if you wonder what he thinks it actually stands for, his general counsel once helpfully defined woke in court as the view that there are systemic injustices in American society and the need to have policies that address them. Which is a hell of a thing for someone to admit to everyone that you are against.
I'm gonna take a risky guess. I'm gonna guess a large majority of these anti-woke people are radical Christians. So let me rip the band-aid off of them. Jesus was woke. He was a brown-skinned Middle Eastern Jewish man who preached loving everyone equally. And while the concept of socialism did not exist back then, he held very anti-rich views.
I have a saying.
Ooh.
It goes like this.
You're gonna love this.
Shut up.
It's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God.
I've made my political stances clear on this channel, but I don't want this to become a political nightmare, because I can only go so far calling out neo-Nazis like Critical Drinker and Geeks and Gamers, Quartering, etc., before I drown myself in the fucking Boston Harbor. So in the description, I'm gonna link a few videos by Xander Hall, Turf Nation, and Pillar of Garbage. They're guys who can explain this shit way better than I can, in more detail. I really encourage you to give them a watch. I am obviously not above nitpicking. I do it quite a bit in my reviews, but this is just excessive. For example, this scene in episode 4, it has Jedi Master Ki-Adi-Mundi in it, a prominent character in the prequels, and people got mad at this little cameo. They've posted various images online of him being born in the years after the show takes place. And this would be valid if there wasn't this big Legends banner over the image. For those of you who don't know, here's a quick history lesson. Before Disney bought Lucasfilm, there was a huge series of books, comics, and video games in the Star Wars canon, also known as the Expanded Universe. There were a lot of stories in the Expanded Universe. Not all of them were good, but some of them were. When Disney bought it, they classified all the Expanded Universe as Legends and Elseworlds, also known as not canon, aka not in the continuity of Star Wars, and ceased publication of the continuity. Then Lucasfilm started building up their own Expanded Universe. They did this not to limit creativity, so the sequel trilogy would not be limited by any pre-existing books, comics, or games. I'd say this was a great move. Even George Lucas never considered the Expanded Universe canon, and said so multiple times.
I mean, he's literally saying, I do not read that stuff. I haven't read any of the novels. He said, I don't know anything about that world. That's a different world than my world. But I do try to keep it consistent. The way I do it now is they have a Star Wars encyclopedia. So if I come up with a name or something else, I look it up and see if it already has been used. When I said other people could make their own Star Wars stories, we decided that, like Star Trek, we would have two universes, my universe and then this other one.
And in this Legends retcon was Ki-Adi-Mundi's birth year, meaning the Acolyte does not need to follow the Legends timeline. In the new canon, nothing about Ki-Adi-Mundi's birth year or anything about the lifespan of his species is established, so there is no inconsistency here with his presence. There are a lot of other nitpicks that do not hold up under a minute of thought, but if I went through all of them, we'd be here all day, so let's get to the final segments. Okay, if I'm gonna be extremely honest, this is kind of valid, and I occasionally feel it sometimes. There are so many goddamn Star Wars shows coming out in a short amount of time, it can be overwhelming. Between 2019 and 2024, there's been 13 seasons of television in 5 years, and there's still another show releasing later this year. The thing is, Star Wars has been a generational thing. There's a reason why The Phantom Menace and The Force Awakens were huge hits. They came out long after Star Wars hiatuses. But with all these shows, there's practically going to be no hype when Star Wars hits the theater again. In fact, some of these shows fail because they should have been movies released in theaters, like Obi-Wan Kenobi. There was no reason to stretch that out into a 6-episode miniseries. Remember when Solo: A Star Wars Story flopped because it came out only 6 months after the previous Star Wars movie? This is what I'm getting at. The next movie projected to be released is The Mandalorian and Grogu, and within that same year, the Rise Skywalker Jedi Academy movie. And do you really think people will be eager to see them when 2 shows release a month before, and the next Star Wars movie is later on that year? And I wouldn't be lying if I said this hasn't affected me in the slightest. For the first time, I kinda skipped out on a few Star Wars projects. In specific, The Bad Batch Season 2 and Visions Season 2. Star Wars isn't Marvel, and they should stop trying to make it Marvel. Even Marvel's slowing down. There's only one MCU movie this year, and thus it is a big deal. I'm just saying, maybe shelf a few of these shows, spread them out a bit, so the next movies will have some anticipation and impact. Of all the reasons as to why some people aren't interested in The Acolyte, this is one I can kinda get behind. So that's my quick thoughts on the Acolyte discourse right now. I'll have a full review when I'm ready to gather my thoughts on the series. And remember kids, use critical thinking skills, form your own opinion, and for the love of all things good, don't listen to conservatives or neo-Nazis online.